Hey, everybody, and welcome. This is Bob. Today we're talking to Pablo Lewin. Did I say that right, Pablo?
Absolutely correct.
Oh, wow.
Very
Can't
good
believe it.
pronunciation.
First try. Usually I get everybody's name wrong on the first one. So, how you doing today, Pablo? It looks like you're there at getting ready to do some stand-up work here at the Yuck Yuck Hut or whatever.
Absolutely. I came prepared with a lot of inane jokes that mean absolutely nothing.
Oh, we don't care if you're clean or not. To be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I took a shower this morning.
Oh, well, good. I see you have a nice shirt on there. Very
Well,
nice.
it's
I
my,
went with my usual green, if you haven't noticed.
yeah, I love your getup. It's quite nice. This is my retired man uniform, the Hawaiian shirt, the perennial, ubiquitous Hawaiian shirt.
Oh, fantastic. Well, and you are retired. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that if you'd like. You retired from
From flying the skies
the
as
friendly skies.
they were friendly most of the time. A few times they were not friendly, especially after 9/11. For
Oh, well, yeah, that was
several years, they were not friendly at all, and it was
they
very
didn't
tense.
they didn't want anybody to fly after that for lots of reasons, I suppose.
Exactly.
Bringing everybody down again, Pablo. Come on.
Yeah. Let's bring everybody up.
Yeah, bring everybody up.
Let's. I'm retired, so I'm no longer a danger in disguise. So
Oh, well, good. That's
all you
fantastic.
guys are safe now.
We're safe from you being in the pilot seat, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, were you? Let me ask you a quick question about being a pilot, since
Yeah.
you brought it up.
Sure.
So, I mean, totally honestly, right? The big parts are, doing all the paperwork, right? Getting
Yeah.
you to the, getting everybody, to the area where people load up and unload, taxiing back and forth, and then taking off and landing. What do you do in between?
We do stand-up comedy, and I had a little portable stage that I would open the door, and I had 200 people watching me intently.
who are who are trapped.
They were trapped. They were paying attention. So I would try my jokes on them, and
Oh,
somebody else fly the airplane. I mean, the airplanes fly themselves.
I was just that's what I mean. It seems like once you get going,
Absolutely.
you're
Well, the good
kind of
news is that they're computerized. The
yeah.
bad news is that they have Windows 11, so it crashes all the time. So we'd have to reboot the airplane in flight.
In flight. Yeah. Well,
Horrible,
that
horrible.
sounds a little bit hairy there. I don't know.
Yeah,
Rebooting in flight. Do you dip a little bit? Do you lose some altitude when that happens, or is it just everything just kind of screaming along, so it doesn't matter?
yeah, but it was so smooth that you guys didn't notice.
Oh, okay. So it was a warm boot, not a cold boot, as they
But
used to
if you want
say.
me to be serious, there's much more than auto flying when you're flying the aircraft. It's not paperwork. You do a little bit of paperwork. Dispatcher is usually the paperwork, and we
Oh,
approve
okay.
and then we modify it based on reality of what's going on. For
Yeah.
example, if they had us fly at 10,000 feet and there's a mountain at 50 that's topped off at 15,000 feet, it would be up to us to say, hey, either climb, turn, or crash right into it.
Okay. Do you break out the magic 8 ball at that point?
Absolutely. We did magic. We had a Ouija board, we talked to spirits, the whole thing.
Gotcha. Well, that's interesting. The I always wondered because I mean it seems like it's just magic, right? Whenever you're on the plane, and so it seems like there's a lot happening at the front end and the back end, and then the middle part. It's just like everybody's just waiting. They just want to get where they're going, and there's just a whole lot of waiting going on.
Well, the middle part, you're always monitoring the aircraft, the systems, the navigations, communicating all the time, plotting. You always have to be ahead of the aircraft, making sure that there is no weather. And if the weather is ahead, what other routes we can take, what fuel situation, equipment situation. So there's a lot going on. Even when the aircraft is an autopilot, because the autopilot may fail too. So you do want to have
Right. Well, if you had to reboot it, yeah.
you have to reboot it. You want to
Yeah.
have at least a pilot and a dog. The dog there to wake up the pilot in case he falls asleep.
There you go. Right. Licks his face. Whatever needs to be done to keep everything
He
on.
just brought everybody
Yeah.
down. Let's talk about terrorism now. Come on.
No. Let me ask you. So, is there a switch for you to turn off your transponder?
Yeah, absolutely. It's on the transponder.
Oh, you can just turn it on and off.
But do your listeners know what a transponder is?
Well, I do. I'm assuming they do. I always assume everybody knows what everything I
A
know.
transponder is a little transmitter that
Mhm.
tells the radar people on the ground who we are, how fast we're going, so they don't have to send a signal and bounce it off the airplane and come back. We actually send it so they can see us and get all the information. So
Yeah,
that
and then your altitude, your speed, everything, right?
is everything.
Yeah. So you
Except
can
on
just
the Malaysia flight, they had it off.
well no, that was my question because my understanding is, and they always say in the movies at least that the transponder is always transmitting, and so therefore you always know where everybody's at. But if you can turn it on and off, I mean, you're like, hey, we're over here. Well, we're over here.
You can turn it off because sometimes the transponder may fail. So the air traffic control may ask you to turn it off because it's given spurious information.
Ah, okay, interesting.
And also keep in mind that the transponder is line of sight only. It's
Mhm.
not, if you're over the ocean, the transponder just doesn't work officially.
Gotcha, because it's just there's going to nowhere.
Some military operations may still be able to receive it, even at a longer distance than VHF or
Hmm.
line of sight.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I was always curious because nowadays there's all these apps for tracking flights, right? So,
Sure.
and that generally is the transponder data. So
Correct.
it's what the flight number is, what the flight, who it is, Southwest, whatever, and then where they're going to, where they're coming from, how high they are, how fast they're flying. And I always find it interesting because I live in St. Louis and I live out of the city, and the flights come over, and then sometimes they don't appear on those things.
Oh, well, some flights may not have a transponder on, or it may have failed, or they could be flying in visual flight rules called VFR, in which case they're transponding the number 1200, meaning that they're flying by visual rules. They don't have a flight plan, and they don't want to be known who they are.
Ah, the sneaky
Well, it's not
people.
sneaky, it's just that it doesn't send all that information. But
I was just
they're
curious because
changing that. All the aircraft are changing that, where even if you're on VFR, you're still getting data from that specific aircraft.
gotcha. Because they don't show up on the whatever it's called, flight radar, whatever the app's called. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Flight tracker. That's what it's called.
Flight tracker. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I was curious since I had somebody who actually has some knowledge. I figured I'd pick your brain a little bit about this.
Absolutely.
When you were flying, did you ever see something that shouldn't be flying?
Yeah, a couple of passengers. Holy cow, they were drunk. They should not have been flying.
That time I picked up the Rat Pack in Las Vegas.
Oh my goodness, they were so rip roaring drunk that unbelievable. They should not have been there.
Well, I was thinking more outside the window myself, but that's good to know as well.
Yeah.
Was somebody giving you pointers over there?
Yeah, somebody is bothering me here.
Oh, hello, somebody off to the
I got
side.
one of my ex-passengers. They're suing me in their ear, handing me. They said my landings were too firm. Landings. I used to call them landings with authority. A man's landing. Where you jars your whole body.
Yeah, where everybody's spine compresses.
Yeah.
When you touch down. Oh yeah. Well, at least you're landed. I mean, that is a little bit reassuring. You know what I mean?
Any landing you can walk away from, it's a perfect landing.
Perfect.
Didn't break, and I never broke an airplane in almost a 40-some year career. both the
Wow.
airlines and private jets. I've never broken an airplane. How about that?
Did you go to? Were you a military person that went to
Civilians,
become
strictly civilian.
civilian? So did you go to school for
I
aviation
went
then?
to school for aviation, my 4-year degrees in aviation
Oh wow.
from Cal State LA, and I learned to fly small airplanes. Then I was a flight instructor when I was 18, just a whippersnapper. And
Oh,
then
interesting.
when I was 24, I got a job flying Learjets for movie stars and famous
Wow,
people,
my
rock
gosh.
boots on tour. And I did that until I got hired by TWA, St. Louis.
TWA.
Yeah, great airline, great people, loved them.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's not around anymore.
It's a shame. It's an absolute shame.
Well, that's interesting. So you flew Learjets and so forth. That's
I
that's
flew
fascinating.
Learjets. I
So
flew movie stars, and I flew rock groups on tour, Aerosmith, Loverboy.
Loverboy. Hey,
Uh,
we're
Prince.
working for the weekend right here, Pablo.
Yeah, I did that. That was great.
That's
And
fantastic. Any
by
misadventures
the
that
way,
you can talk about?
going from aviation to comedy, it's a straight line. I mean, it,
We'll get to the comedy part. I'm almost done with
no,
my
no, no, no.
plain questions.
You still have to ask me the question that everybody asks me.
Well, I'm going to try to avoid that.
Okay.
Well, you tell me if I hit it. You maybe go ding ding or something.
All right.
So, any tales from your private charter jet days that you could mention, or
Yeah, I flew famous tennis player Joe McEnroe on tour, and I was
John
ready.
McEnroe? You said Joe McEnroe, I think.
Did I say Joe McEnroe?
Yeah, John McEnroe, I think.
I meant to say John McEnroe. I'm sorry.
Was Tatum O'Neal his wife at that point, or no?
Yes, and this is the story because he was well known for yelling at people and being. Can I say 4-letter words here?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
He had the he was thought to be a complete asshole, and
Mm-hmm.
I was loaded for bear. I was ready to handle, and he turned out to be the nicest passenger I've ever had. Super friendly, great guy, and Tatum O'Neal was not that friendly though.
Well, she had a tough life.
She had a tough life.
Yeah, I think my interpretation of John McEnroe being just your lazy Midwesterner watching from the sidelines is he was a very intense competitor, and he didn't like a bunch of idiots, and he would tell them. I don't think that he was really mean per se. I think he was mean to people who were not functioning at a level that was acceptable to him.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time. All I knew was what I watched on TV. And
Right? Yeah, you get the media, right? They just
so I
tear
go,
everybody
this
up.
guy's it's going to be a complete asshole nightmare. And I was loaded for a bear, but it turned out to be a gentleman.
Yeah,
Guy.
I think generally, so like Gordon Ramsay and other folks that kind of fall in that little avenue, if you will, I think are typically regular, fairly nice people. It's just they're in situations where they are free to express themselves, and they do, and people, just assume they're all just jerks or something.
Absolutely.
But it's competitive, right? So they're in competitive areas, and once you're in competition, it gets hard to kind of reel that back.
The group Loverboy from Canada, fantastic guys. Aerosmith, fantastic guys.
The funny thing is, you look a little bit like the lead singer these days of Loverboy. Honestly, no, you guys really don't look that much different. I think
I haven't seen him.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a picture available right here, but honestly,
young man. Yeah.
you're probably very similar. He's probably not that much different in age from you, to be honest.
No, he was older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's segue into the comedy. So you retired, and you're like, what does a guy do who had this fantastic, bon vivant lifestyle, traveling at least the States. I don't know if you did any overseas flights.
Yeah, yeah, I was an
Um,
international pilot.
oh, were you? Oh,
Before I
fantastic.
answer that, let me tell you the question that everybody asks me: What's
Oh, I skipped over the question everybody asked
the
me.
most
Okay.
dangerous thing that's ever happened to me? The most pressure that's ever happened to me? And I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to give you an exclusive here that
Well,
pilots actually drove.
everybody asks you, then it's not going to be exclusive.
Well, it's going to be an exclusive here, believe me,
Okay.
because everybody thinks, oh, an engine failure, a wing falls off. Well, if wing falls off, it's all over. But or something like that. No, I'm telling you what's the most dangerous, most pressure thing that a pilot goes through is wanting to go to the bathroom at the wrong moment.
You know what? I was going to say that using the airplane toilet.
Because let me tell you what the procedure is for real. You have to call when you want to go to the bathroom. You hold it as much as you can. You're in the cockpit, okay,
That's
and
horrible.
then you go, okay, that's it. The pressure is overwhelming. I have to go to the
All right.
bathroom. So you got to call the number one flight attendant, okay, and say, hey, listen, I'm going to need to go to the bathroom. So get the airplane ready. So now they have to get the airplane ready. They have to call all the flight attendants, let them know, hey, they're going to open the door of the cockpit.
Pablo's got to do a number two.
Going to do number two. Okay. So now all the flight attendants, the entire crew knows that I'm going to explode probably when I get to the bathroom. Number one. Number two, then they tell the first class passengers or half the airplane in the front, hey, listen, I want everybody in your seats. This is a security issue. So
Right.
now all the passengers know that the
Put your
captain,
blindfolds on.
that's right. And then they put a cart in front of the cockpit and to block anybody from trying to get into the cockpit. When you open the door,
Hmm.
get out, and you get 200 pairs of eyes watching you, knowing full well
You're,
that you're going to defecate in flight.
uh,
Okay? Talk about pressure. Now there's pressure. I mean, that's enough
then
pressure.
you got to do it in that little tiny bathroom.
And you got to do it in a little tiny bathroom. And I have a big ass. I could get stuck in there. Then what happens? Who's going to land the airplane? Holy cow. That's pressure.
That is a lot of scrutiny.
It gets worse because if you're on final, that is within 7 miles of the airport landing, you got to be in the cockpit. Now you want to go to the bathroom, but you can't because you got
No.
to land the airplane. You land the airplane, you get off the runway, and now there's like 30 or 40 airplanes waiting for a gate, and you're in between runways. You can't get out of your seat. You got to wait an hour and a half holding it. You can't go to the bathroom. That's the most difficult, most pressure that a pilot can ever go through.
I can imagine. Jeez Louise.
Brutal.
I'm
Brutal.
I Here you go. Well, this isn't exclusive because I've talked about it before, but I just let's see. I haven't flown like you. I'm not extensive flyer, but over the years, I'm like a regular vacation type person, and just I think it was 2 years ago. It was the first time I used an airplane toilet in a jet, and I've probably been flying 30 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You just get hit something. Just
I don't know.
news flash.
I didn't touch anything, and the microphone just went off. Maybe my story about being under pressure, this thing couldn't handle it.
Well, but yeah, first time I used it, I flew, occasionally, and yeah, first time I used it was just a couple of years ago. Because now I'm older, and when you got to go, you got to go. So
Exactly.
it's not like you can,
For example, right now I'm sitting on a toilet as we speak.
I wondered what that flash of porcelain was there at the bottom of the
Yeah,
screen.
I just flashed the toilet. That's why the microphone went up. I put the wrong lever.
Well, I hate those. I'm also have the shoulders of a linebacker, and so literally I fit into those toilets like cranberries in a can.
Yeah, they're very small.
Yeah.
And they're very smelly, and sometimes they're soiled. And then when you come out, they blame you. No, somebody peed
Yeah.
on the floor. It wasn't me.
It happens.
It happens. So yeah,
You did one of those maneuvers and it sloshed out. Pablo's doing maneuvers again.
Well, when I was young and flying the Learjet, I used to roll the airplane or do inverted parabolas.
Oh my God.
Highly illegal.
Statute of limitations here.
Yes, I hope they're. I don't care at this point. So what if I lose my licenses? I don't care. I don't need them anymore. But they're not called licenses; they're certificates. But yeah,
there's a difference.
There's a difference. It's a privilege. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they said, oddly enough, the United States government, there's a lot of privileges that go along with being in the U.S.
That's right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
So the comedian stuff. So you retire, right?
Well, I wasn't only retired. I mean, I started. I was a comedy buff since the '70s. I used to go to the oldest comedy club in the U.S., the Ice House in Pasadena, and I used to watch all the greats, that used to go there. And I always thought, hey, I'd like to try that. So I did try it in my 20s.
Who was the most famous person you saw there?
Robin Williams. He actually died on stage. He couldn't get a laugh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Was he doing his usual kind of shticky?
He was doing his usual kind of
running around.
He must have been affected somehow. He wasn't that great that night. But
yeah.
I figured if he can bomb, I'm a nobody in show business.
Yeah.
Bomb too. So
that's interesting.
Everybody bombs, as you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Not you, but me.
Yeah, well, I don't ever think about it. So, in your own mind, you're always a winner.
So my comedy career, which is not a career, started in my 20s. And even when I was flying, I would go to open mics on layovers. Like I used to fly to New York all the time with the airlines. I'd get a cab, go to the different open mics in Manhattan and places like that, or here. So, but I started taking it semi-seriously when I retired because I have a little more time now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well, because then you can be available. Whereas if you're flying and so forth, I mean, your availability is pretty limited. It's got to be a sucky schedule because it's not like you go from 9 to 5 and then you get a good amount of time at the end of the day to have you as your own. You kind of go and then you're like, I'm exhausted because it's not the right time here. And then you got to sleep for a little while, no matter what time it is. And then you're up again and gone and go to someplace else.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And remember, people say, well, you only fly 15 days a month, but you're gone 15 days a month. That means 24 hours a day.
Right. Yeah. If you have to travel a lot for your job, I mean, you travel a lot, but even just traveling at all can be kind of sucky on your routine. That's for certain.
Well, after a while, even luxurious hotels are a pain in the ass. I mean, you go home and not even
that. And after holding it all in all day, you unleash the wrath of Pablo onto the Marriott and Manhattan. It can only take so much.
That's right, Bob, and that's why I do comedy. I do comedy not so much so that I can get a sitcom or be famous or screw some chuckle fuckers, which would come in handy. No, I do it mainly for the adrenaline. And you know why I need the adrenaline? I need the adrenaline because it makes me regular. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
I'm no longer constipated. I do my show. I come home. Boom. Number 2. Ah, beautiful.
That's why I think whenever you do your tours, it's called the Drop the Deuce tour.
I like that. That's pretty funny.
Pablo's Drop the Deuce tour. So you decided you're going to do this more. I mean, this fascinates me in so many ways because, if you all the polls, all the media, all the sources say public speaking is way worse than flying a plane. As far as you talk about being nervous and so forth, way worse than just about anything is getting up in front of people. I would hazard to say getting up in front of people and trying to make them laugh is even worse.
Absolutely, and it requires preparation, experience, and you just can't go on stage, as you know, and just not know what you're going to say, because you're going to have a bright light on you. You're going to have people watching you, expecting you to say something. So you have to have material. Material. You got to have proven jokes or jokes that may or may not work, but at least you have to have something. You just can't improvise it. Now, I did study improv for 10 years with the founder of the Groundlings, so I can improvise really well. But
Mhm.
when you do stand up comedy, it's totally different. You have to have material, you have to know what you're going to say, have an idea what you're going to say, and you got to have passion, say it with emotion. That's just it depending on who you are. But
Stephen Wright, he doesn't really emote that much.
right, it's a different type of right.
It's in his character to not emote.
Yeah, deadpan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's interesting. You
I'm more like in the line of Sam Kinison type.
oh yeah, well he over emotes. Yeah, that he's on
You
the
know,
other end of the
I'm just
spectrum.
halfway there.
That's right. but but nobody wants to hear a comedian who talks like their neighbor. I mean, honestly, you think?
And you got to remember, when I was a pilot, one of the features of being a pilot is to control your emotions. No matter
Mhm.
what happens, you got to get on the PA and go, ladies and gentlemen, Captain speaking. We just lost the number two engine, and we're over the ocean, and we're probably going to die. So please listen to your flight attendants. You know,
That's
you
right.
got to
Yeah.
control your emotions. Now I'm
Does anybody want a drink? We're giving away free drinks right now.
free drink. I do that all the time. Just give them free drinks. Get them drunk. Get
That's
them drunk.
right. You got to be relaxed when you hit the water. It helps.
Yes, they're not going to feel anything. At least on the way down, they're going to be happy about it. Hey, so
So,
it's,
so it sounds like you had these kind of aspirations, obviously, all through your life, and then now you're trying. You're making them happen. I mean, that's the goal, right? So, you mentioned it's not really a second career necessarily, but it obviously was something that you wanted to do for a while.
and I'm going to tell you why aviation and stand-up comedy are similar. They're both based on reality. You cannot you cannot be self-delusional when you're flying an aircraft. If you're at 10,000 feet and there's a mountain that is at 15,000 feet and you know you're going to
Mhm.
crash, you have to deal with reality. Either turn, climb, or crash right into. If you want to kill
Mhm.
yourself, nobody does. Same with stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy, you got to be real,
Hmm.
and and your destiny is in your hands. Just like when you're flying, when you're doing stand-up comedy, up on stage by yourself, doing everything, material, delivery, emotions, everything else, punchlines, everything else, you're doing it by yourself. So in that respect, they're similar. Where they're dissimilar is when you crash and burn,
Hmm.
on stage. It's totally
Yeah. Well, you don't get the option, right? I mean, that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
you don't want
Do
to
you
crash
get
and burn.
bonuses? Do you get bonuses not to crash? Anyway, I'm just.
Yeah, we get to live.
You'd be like, Pablo, you didn't crash this year. End of the year bonus. Thank you very much. The airline appreciates your, loyalty to not crashing. The but it is interesting though that but now you're it's interesting how similar but how different. So like you have to be very stoic as a pilot, and not basically get yell fire in the cockpit. But as a comedian, you want to. I mean, that's the whole idea is you want to get everybody revved up, right? So it really is the opposite end of the spectrum, I would think.
Well, in that respect, absolutely correct. Yeah, it's two different things. But in the airplane, most people are not afraid of flying. They're not afraid um, of height. What they're afraid of is who the hell is controlling my life from that cockpit. You're out of
Right?
control. You're totally out of control when you're a passenger. You don't know who's in the cockpit, whether
Mm-mm.
they had a good day, bad day, they get their dicks sucked, or their pussy eaten or something, that they have a problem, are they suicidal, you give up complete control to a complete stranger who will decide whether you're going to live or die. Same thing with stand-up comedy in a different respect. Somebody
You
goes on stage and you go, well, wait a minute, what is this guy? Are we going to die here? This guy's going to take control. And that's very important when you do stand-up comedy. You just want to take control of that stage. You want to communicate with the people and establish a conversation,
hmm
which will eventually, hopefully, will end in laughter. Not in the airplane, though, but it's different.
yeah, yeah. The total stoicism in the airplane.
So there are some parallels, and of
Yeah,
course, glaring differences.
varying differences. So, can you tell me about a time? We'll start with the good, right? So, can you tell me about a time where you went up there and you just killed, and everybody was into it, and you had everybody, and then your time is up, and you have to go, and you're like, I wish this could last forever. Well, tell me, does that happen to you? First of all,
As of about a year ago, I can take control of an audience and I can get laughter. Sometimes chuckles, sometimes great laughter because I have material. I worked that material. I presented it. I massaged it. I took out words, put in, pauses and everything else. Pauses are very important. I found out it's very important to pause between jokes. So now lately I can take control of an audience and I know that my jokes mostly work. Before, I used to get a lot of silence. And the best one I've ever had was about 30 years ago. I did a retirement party for a pilot. There were like 300 people. And I couldn't say anything wrong. I mean, there was waves of laughter. And the interesting thing is that when you get a big room laughing at your jokes, you actually feel it. You feel it in your sternum. You can actually feel the waves. It was amazing. And so that must have been 30 years ago, at least 30 years. Yeah.
do you think the reason for that was because it kind of was your audience, as it were, so you knew, kind of touchstones that would be like, okay, I know this is going to kill because everybody who's in this profession thinks this is hilarious.
Right. I tailor the jokes for aviation people, and they knew the nuances and experiences, so they knew how ridiculous some of the things that I said were. So they, it was that. Also, you have to remember, and everybody listening to this, they have to remember that comedians are like old records or your music or streaming music. Some people like this kind of music, and some people like other kinds of music, and they don't mix. So comedians work for certain audiences. You try to make it as universal as possible, but sometimes it doesn't work because they're not your not people. I'm not going to say they're not your people. They're not your audience. They're not in tune with what you're in tune. My comedy now is 100% self-deprecating comedy, which means that nobody is in danger in the audience. I'm not going to make fun of any groups or people there. I'm making fun of myself, and it's universal enough that everybody laughs.
For a minute, you said self-defecating, but that was just from our earlier conversation.
Oh, did I say self-deprecating?
No, you didn't. You said deprecating.
Oh, I was self-deprecating while self-defecating.
Well, self-defecating.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm wearing Depends. Sponsor for tonight.
Yes.
When you reach a certain age, you may want to buy some too. So that's kind of your high point. What low point? I mean, so your high point came kind of early in this kind of interest here. It sounds like. I mean, because you've been going.
Right, and I would have quit, but aviation paid so well that you can't quit that. So I kept.
Right. Yeah. True.
So and one of the mistakes that I used to make is make jokes about aviation based, and nobody Nobody wants to hear a pilot who's funny or anything in aviation is funny. I either turn audiences off if I do jokes about it, me being a pilot, or they go into a didactic mode where they want to learn. Oh my God, I want to learn. There goes the laughter. So I didn't even talk about aviation and during my sets.
Gotcha.
About
Yeah.
me being old.
I think it'd be kind of funny if you put on the old uniform and went up there, and it was kind of Wally-esque, because you've gotten older and
Uh,
doesn't fit quite right anymore.
Yeah, no, that's a character. I mean, I can do characters. I went to acting school too. I studied with the most famous acting coaches in the U.S. And I went to film school also. And if you look me up on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, Pablo Lewin, you will see that I haven't made a film in about a year and a half, but I do little projects. I film, edit, and all that, and I act. I acted not so much lately. So I was always interested in the arts,
Mhm.
which is the opposite of being a pilot, which you have to. It's very stringent, very strict, and but
Yeah,
it
you got to
actually
follow rules. Yeah.
you got to follow rules to the T, and if you deviate from any rules, holy cow,
Right. Yeah.
do
Watch out.
not want to deviate.
That's funny. So, has there been a worst experience for you? Like, I mean, can you kind of describe it?
Well, the worst experience that any comedian can have is silence. uh, Hecklers I can handle. Hecklers are a godsend. Uh, but silence, not lately, but I used to have silence a couple of times in the past.
How would that have, like, how did you take that? You
Well, you
know,
start sweating. You go, you got the light, you do your joke, nothing happens. All you hear is this. That's all you hear. And then
they're
you try
doing physicals out in the audience tonight. Free physicals for everybody.
free physicals. Yeah, exactly.
Hernia test.
And then you try another joke, nothing happens. And you keep going and you go, and then you get the sweat. You feel all that. And then you go into a tunnel vision. You go, what do I do now? That's when you got to do anything. You got to make a fool out of yourself. Lower your, pants. Just dance the Macarena. Something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just get.
some comics seem to relish that. So, like when they go down the road to bombing, right? They lean into it real hard. I can think just off the top of my head, Norm Macdonald seemed to be one of those type of guys, right? So
A
he
genius.
he would people wouldn't kind of grok his shit, and he would just keep going, and like he'd just like dive deeper and deeper and deeper, and wouldn't try to come out of it.
Yeah, but that was his shtick, and he was a genius. I mean, the guy was an amazing comedian. He did his jokes were delicious, actually. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful
Hey,
jokes.
Steven Spielberg's on the line. You better pick that up.
Yeah, that's probably my chief pilot saying, "Hey,
That's
how come?"
my that's my agent.
Yeah, it's the CIA saying, "Hey, wait a minute, that's
They're
not
like, oh
comedy.
wait a
That's
minute, you
horrible."
did these parabolic rollover thing. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Uh, that's interesting though. But yeah, I obviously you hope that those things aren't going to happen, but they do. I'm sure, just because of the nature of the randomness of audiences, right? So you're not looking for that, but it's bound to happen sometime.
absolutely. And one of the most important skills that a comedian has to learn is reading the room. And I've made a point of getting there early. And as soon as I see people sitting down, I go, okay, these are young people, hip hop, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So I immediately start changing my set.
Hmm.
Or I go, that guy looks like Mr. T, or that guy looks like, I don't know, some funny guy, or he's got a beard. And one time I had a whole front audience. They had beards, the guys. I go, what is this, a beard convention? Look at you. I mean, without insulting, I go, that looks very manly. I also want to get a beard. Got as far as my groin. That's about it. But,
I got the best ball sack beard you've ever seen.
And you guys want to see it? I can show it. But, so I get nervous laughter that way. But you got to read the room. You have to read the room.
Got the Amish Rat Pack up on the front row here. Thank you for coming.
That's right. The Amish jokes, because they're never going to be there.
Right.
The other day I made a joke about I was actually talking to the audience, and one of the comedians, I was the MC, and one of the comedians made racist jokes about Asians and blacks. I go, hey everybody, I want to apologize. I mean, this guy, we're not racist here at this club. We're great, but I do hate one kind of people, and in fact, I don't want to live near them. They're the worst. People from Antarctica.
Okay,
because you know that there are no native people in it.
No, there's not even penguins native down there. I got those penguins down there.
Yeah. Not one laughter. They actually took it seriously.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Well, you should, the racist club is just down the street if you'd like to go. Anyway, but that's hard. So I was going to ask you, the question would be, how do you so what do you think the line is? Because this is I think a problem more today than it has been in past times. Is obviously there's a line of where people are going to be turned off, and it's going to be not necessarily considered racist, but considered beyond the norm, let's say. And how do you deal with those thoughts? Like, where do you draw a line in your head? Do you wait till it comes out and then backpedal? I mean, what's your strategy on that? Oh, you're muted now for some reason. You're muted, Pablo.
I don't know why I didn't say anything.
Apparently, you said a trigger word.
I did. It's got to be a trigger word. I never use StreamYard, and maybe the duck. Is that a duck in StreamYard?
Yeah, it's a duck. The duck is the duck. You're like, Antarctica. Screw you, pal. I have relatives.
I was going to say the ducks are not my audience. They hate me. Okay, and it's obvious that this duck hates me.
Every time I try to type duck on my phone, it autocorrects to fuck. Go figure.
I think that stand-up comedy, the stage is a republic, and you're the president of that republic. As long as people know that when you're on stage, you're telling jokes, you're not calling for the death of anybody or for violence. It's up to you as the president of the republic, of the stage, to say whatever you want. Now, you're going to pay the consequences. It's up to you as a comedian to decide what consequences you want to pay. For example, I could easily make jokes about certain gods, but I could get a fatwa happening here where they're going to try to kill me. So I go, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Right.
Do I make jokes about Jewish people? Yeah, because I'm Jewish and my whole family is Jewish. So I make jokes. Do I make jokes about Jesus Christ once in a while? I tried it. It didn't go well, especially in this polarized world. And but then again, Jesus was Jewish too. So
yeah, he was a self-hating Jew, I think.
He was a self-hating Jew. Yeah. He was a carpenter. And I tell people that the reason that he was killed is because he owed my great forefathers money, because we used to have a hardware store, and he came asking for hardware for his carpentry.
Right.
And he never
How many more nails are we going to give to you, Jesus?
Yeah, you want nails? Here, take these nails.
That's right. I got two. I got three. Two for your hands and one for your feet. Anyway.
Yeah, we're in a country where people actually appreciate some of those jokes, but And I try to put people at ease and make jokes about myself lately.
Oh,
So
that's cool. So
it's
that
dangerous. Comedy is dangerous these days, unless you're very famous, and then all is forgiven.
the there you go. The but now you talk about self-deprecating humor. Now they're thinking about your personal psyche, right? So there's got to come to a point where you're like, I'm not going to go there, even with myself, because you got to go home and then you've got to deal with the fallout of having basically beat yourself up in front of everybody for a while,
Uh, no,
or
because
you don't even think about it. You're like, I don't
well,
care,
because if it's funny, it doesn't matter. I don't take it personally, you know.
because
Especially,
somebody and at sometime in the night after your set's done, you're going to see somebody and they're going to use the joke you used on yourself on you.
yeah, I don't care. I'm
Oh,
64.
okay.
I don't give a shit at this point. I'm beyond that. Once again, if it's funny and you make fun of me, love it. I love it.
Wow, that's a good. You have good self
Yeah,
esteem.
I don't
Then
care.
I think always that's always the hard part for some people is the fact that you have to be so assured of yourself, because if you're not, then you're beating yourself up.
Right. And, I come from a world in which they gave me a $60 million airplane. And I used to have 200 people's lives in my hands 4 times a day, sometimes going up and down, up and down.
Hmm.
So I know who I am. So making fun of myself, my foibles, because we all have failings and foibles and physical problems and everything else. So I just make fun of myself. I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, well, your irritated bowel syndrome at this point from holding it all these years.
Well, let me flush the toilet here for a second, and we'll continue.
Okay, the silent flush. That must be one of those new
Besides,
callers.
yeah, I save water.
Yeah, water, just a flap, it just drops down.
That's right. So I don't mind. I like to interact with an audience. Also, I like
Hmm.
to have a conversation and then come up with jokes no, about them. Sometimes whenever like when I'm emceeing, I'd interact with an audience. That's fine too. I like Adam Ray the way I have certain. Um, Not mentors, but people that I admire in comedy.
Hmm.
Adam Ray is one of them now. I mean, many comedians. But
So, how did you get involved with Plausible, which is the online comedy? What would you call it? Online comedy? I don't know. What would you? Online
platform,
comedy club? Huh?
online comedy platform.
Platform.
Uh, I think I have tremendous admiration for Leanne Linsky, the creator and inventor of that platform. She's an American success story, and she's what America is all about. I mean, a creator. She created something useful, and I like going in there. It makes it easy for comedians to create your own content, your own shows, to produce your own shows. You can even make money, charge people if you want. It has features that are dedicated specifically for the comedy world.
Hmm.
I think it's fantastic. I love that. And how do I, one of the features of being old is that you forget shit. Uh, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I think it was Facebook.
Tomorrow morning, you can spy on yourself and find out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll YouTube Live or Facebook Live my whole day. It's going to be so interesting.
I can roll. I can just roll this back. Oh, Bran again. Interesting.
Yeah, what an interesting night.
But what brought? So did you come to Plausible during pandemic, or when did you kind of get
During the
connected to that?
beginning of the pandemic, there were a bunch of comedians from back east that I used to know because I filmed them and did all kinds of things. So they invited me to show. So I did a lot of Zoom stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and then I guess I found about Plausible, and I found about other shows, online shows. Just about everybody's doing online shows. I just got paid $20 for an online show.
What?
Yes, the guy actually paid me for 5 minutes of
5 minutes.
because he's doing a show on dbtv.tv. So he goes, I pay my comedians. So I got paid for doing 5 minutes of comedy.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. So, Plausible allows you to do that kind of stuff, create your own shows, be your own producer, and all in a platform that is geared specifically for comedians. I should be getting paid by Leanne for saying all this.
Well, just a question. So
No, good question, and she's wonderful, and the platform is wonderful. Absolutely, highly recommend it for beginners or experienced people who want to work out their sets and jokes. It's fantastic.
So then, what's on the horizon? What's next for Pablo?
Well, I'm 64, so dying probably.
Well, you got. I mean,
Who knows?
I mean, I don't know how rough you treat yourself during the day, but you might got. You have a good 20 years left.
Yeah, maybe. Next for me is doing more shows, live shows that I do around the LA area, more Zoom shows. I want to film a couple more movies. I want to do my first feature film, length film. So basically, if I die on stage, having a heart attack, I'll be the happiest son of a bitch in the world.
Do you have heart problems? Oh,
no, not yet. I probably will.
Oh, okay. It's in my future.
But
that could be a bit, when I'm planning for the day I have my heart attack, and then you could do a whole 5 minutes on that, I bet.
Yeah, I don't want to bring anybody down, but my testosterone level is so low. I'm transitioning right now. Okay, my pronouns are. This is what my doctor said. Your pronouns are. He needs Viagra. So
there you go.
So
that's funny, but you just want to do more of this. So it's almost like you have somewhat of a hedonistic lifestyle. You're just doing these things, and I'm assuming you don't need that $20, but you're going to take it.
Absolutely. It's just the fact that I'm getting paid as a comedian, and the Wright brothers in 1902 only flew 103 feet. And 66 years later, we went to the moon. So today I got paid $20. But 66 years later, I'm going to be dead. So who gives it?
66 years later, there'll be a plate on my tombstone. You can leave your change.
Oh, you know what happened here? I just hit the table like this, and the microphone went out.
Oh, there you go.
So
we need a palsy-proof microphone, please, for Mr. Lewin. Oh, that's fun. But it sounds great. I admire you for doing exactly what you want to do. There's so many people in this world who complain endlessly about not getting to do what they want, even though they can. And you are.
Yeah, let me say something about that. Okay. In this country here, you can do whatever the heck you want. Okay. As long as you do it. You don't have to be good. You have to just keep doing it. I am the most mediocre son of a bitch you'll ever meet in your life. It doesn't get anybody lower than me. But something that I do have that most successful people have is that whenever I'm sick enough to like something, I just keep going at it, even though people will tell me you're not funny, you can't do this, you can't do that. I just have that disease that I have to do it, and I keep doing it, and I keep doing it. Next thing you know, you're getting good at it. Next thing you know, people start calling you. That's how it works. Every time. People have talent, it's bullshit. Talent is bullshit. Because I read about every artist, everybody in every field of endeavor. The only thing that counts in life is that if you like to do it, if you're passionate to do it, and you keep doing it over and over and over again, and you, even when you fail, you just keep getting back on the horse, you will get there. Guaranteed. It's mathematical.
Pablo Perseverance Lewin, pilot, comic, future advertiser or advertised spokesman for a myriad of products, including Viagra, Depends, and possibly caskets.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going to be burned, but caskets too. Sure, why not?
Oh, you're gonna. All right, maybe not a casket. Maybe what do they call those things that hold your ashes? Urns.
Best propane you can buy. If you want to burn, if you want the best little ashes, people, you got to get this propane from Esso,
right.
ESSO from Europe. Oh man, you're gonna burn.
There you go, burn, baby. Well, Pablo, thank you very much for talking to me today. And everybody, I'm putting his website up onto the screen right now, so you can go there and check out everything from Pablo. Oh, wait a minute. There's no website available.
The website is Facebook/Pablo TWA.
Oh, now I got it. Oh, really? It is that then. Okay.
Yeah. It's Facebook/PABLO TWA, like the old airline. And you're going to find that I make stupid comments about everything.
Okay, let's see. Does this look like it is? Is that it?
That's exactly what it is. Facebook.
Yeah. Well, Pablo, thank you very much for talking to me. And, take care. Everybody can see Pablo. He's on Plausible, as many other places he goes to. And he's live in person. If you're out in Los Angeles, he's around town doing things.
Sometimes even the Comedy Store. I get invited there. Different venues in LA.
There you go. Thanks, Pablo. Hold on just a sec.